Welcome to CA Shiksha, Exploring New Heights of Learning. Today we will start with our new lecture 3, that is ratio. What we are going to learn in this lecture? Meaning of ratio, different types of ratio, and how to solve the problems of ratio. Now I ask you a question, what is a ratio? Ratio means it is a comparison of two or more quantities of the same kind. Remember what I told? Of same kind. The kind should be same. For example, I ask you, tell me the ratio of girls and boys in a class. Here you can easily calculate its ratio because girls and boys are human beings. They are same thing. Similarly, heights of two or more students is given and you have to find its ratio. So you can calculate it. But if I ask you, tell me the ratio of height and weight of a boy, it is wrong because height and weight are two different things. So its ratio cannot be calculated. Ratio can be written as A ratio B or A to B or A divided by B. These are the different forms of writing ratio, where A is called the first term or antecedent and B is called the second term or consequent. A ratio must be expressed in its lowest terms. Lowest terms means you should write it as 2:3. You cannot write it as 4:6. You have to simplify the ratio. Now let's do a question. Simplify the ratio 1:3 ratio 1:8 ratio 1:6. You have to do its simplification. So for solving this, take the LCM of 3, 8 and 6, which is equal to 24. Now 1 by 3 can be written as 1 by 3 into 24, that is 8. Similarly, 1 by 8 can be written as 1 by 8 into 24, that is 3. And 1 by 6 can be written as 1 by 6 into 24, that is 4. So simplified ratio becomes 8:3:4. Now some more facts about the ratio. First is inverse ratio. Inverse ratio means you have to do the reciprocal of any ratio. For example, you have to find the inverse ratio 4:9. So its inverse ratio will be 9:4. That is reciprocal of it. Second is compounding of ratios. Compounding of ratios means to multiply the first terms together and the second terms together of the ratios given. For example, you have given the ratio 4:9 and 7:2 and you have to do its compounding. So you will multiply the first terms and multiply the second terms. It will be 4 into 7 ratio 9 into 2. This becomes 28:18. third is duplicate ratio. Duplicate ratio means when you do the square of any ratio. For example, I ask you find the duplicate ratio of 4:9. The square of 4 is 16 and square of 9 is 81. So duplicate ratio of 4:9 is 16:81. Fourth is subduplicate ratio. Like in duplicate ratio you do the square of it, in subduplicate you have to find its square root. So subduplicate means taking the square root of a ratio. For example, find the subduplicate ratio of 4:9. It will be 2:3 because square root of 4 is 2 and square root of 9 is 3. Fifth is triplicate ratio. As in duplicate you find the square, so in triplicate you find the cube of any ratio. So triplicate ratio means cubing of a ratio. So I ask you find the triplicate ratio of 4:9 and cube of 4 is 64 and cube of 9 is 729. So triplicate ratio of 4:9 is 64 is to 729. Sixth is subtriplicate ratio. As in subduplicate you find the square root, so in subtriplicate you find the cube root of ratio. So I ask you find the subtriplicate ratio of 8:27. You will calculate it and tell me it is 2:3 because cube root of 8 is 2 and cube root of 27 is 3. Seventh is continued ratio. Continued ratio means finding the relation among 3 or more quantities of the same kind. For example, 20, 40, 70. I ask you to find its continued ratio. Its continued ratio will be 20:40:70, which will be 2:4:7. Doing it in lowest forms. Now the thumb rule. Thumb rule means if you are unable to solve any question in mathematics, then assume the unknown elements in terms of x, y and z and then try to convert the language of the question into numeric terms and then solve it. So our next question is, the ratio of the quantities is 5:7 and if the consequent of its inverse ratio is 5, find its antecedent. Antecedent means the last term. So what you are given in the question, consequent of its inverse is 5. It means antecedent of original is also 5 because inverse is reciprocal of original. So consequent of inverse means antecedent of original. Now let the number be x. So 5:x is equal to 5:7. It means x is equal to 7. Our next question is, two numbers are in the ratio 4:5 and if 6 is subtracted from each, they are in the ratio 2:3 and find the numbers. So let the numbers be 4x and 5x using a thumb rule. Now what is given if 6 is subtracted from each? So subtract 6 from 4x and 5x, that is 4x minus 6 upon 5x minus 6 is equal to 2 upon 3. Now do the cross multiplication. It will be 3 into 4x minus 6 is equal to 2 into 5x minus 6. Solving the brackets, 12x minus 18 is equal to 10x minus 12. Taking the x terms into one side and constant terms in the other side. It is the rule of solving these type of questions. You have to take the variables into one side and constants into other side. So 12x minus 10x is equal to 18 minus 12. So 2x is equal to 6. It means x is equal to 3. So first number was 4x, that is 4 into 3 is equal to 12, and second number was 5x, that is 5 into 3 is equal to 15. Now the third question, if A ratio B is equal to 7 ratio 3, B ratio C is equal to 9 ratio 15, find the value of A ratio C. A ratio C can also be written as A upon B multiplied by B upon C, because B will be cancelled. So here A upon B can also be written as A ratio B multiplied by B upon C can also be written as B ratio C. So it will be A ratio B is 7:3 multiplied by B ratio C is 9 ratio 15. Now 7 ratio 3 can be written as 7 upon 3 multiplied by 9 upon 15. Solving it, you will get it 7 ratio 5. That is A ratio C is equal to 7 ratio 5. Now our fourth question is, earnings of A is rupees 40 in 5 hours and of B is rupees 17 7 hours. Find the ratio of their earnings. In our first slide we learned that if we have to find the ratio, the base should be same. So here earning of A is given in 5 hours and of B is given in 7 hours. So try to convert the earnings of both of them in same timing. That is, we should convert the earning of A in 7 hours and then find its ratio. So in 5 hours A earns rupees 40 as per the question. It means in 1 hour A earns 40 divided by 5, that is 8. So in 7 hours A will earn 8 into 7, that is rupees 56. Now we can easily calculate the ratio. Ratio of earnings of A and B is equal to 56 ratio 70, that is 4 ratio 5, because the ratio must be expressed in lowest terms. Our next question is, find a number which when subtracted from each of the terms of the ratio 19 ratio 31 reduces it to 1 ratio 4. So we have to find a number which when subtracted from 19 and 31 reduces that ratio into 1:4. So let the number be x using our thumb rule. Now as per the question, the number is subtracted from 19 and 31. So 19 minus x upon 31 minus x is equal to 1 upon 4. Doing the cross multiplication, 4 into 19 minus x is equal to 1 into 31 minus x. Solving the brackets, 76 minus 4x is equal to 31 minus x. Now taking the variables into one side and constants into the other, will get 76 minus 31 is equal to 4x minus x. It means 3x is equal to 45. So x will be equal to 15. Our next question is, if ratio between speeds of two trains is 6:5 and the second train runs 150 kilometers in 2 hours, find the speed of first train. So here it is given that speed of second train is 150 kilometers in 2 hours, means it is given in the form of distance and time, and we know the formula of speed is distance upon time. So it will be 150 kilometers upon 2 hours, that is 75 kilometers per hour. So let the speed of first train be x kilometer per hour. Now the ratio of speeds is given. So x ratio 75 is equal to 6:5. Doing the cross multiplication, 5 into x is equal to 75 into 6. So x will be equal to 6 into 75 divided by 5. So speed of first train will be 90 kilometers per hour. Now you have to complete all the questions of exercise 1A of your study material. Thank you. It was end of lecture 3 ratio.